Okay, good. Now this is a case affected with IBD lesions. Okay, IBD case, and if you see here, this, can you see the cursor moving?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, these are the, this is the leg muscle. Okay, this is the leg. Skin has been removed, and you can see that there are hemorrhages here. Hemorrhages here. All right. Hmm? These are called as paintbrush hemorrhages, which are associated with the IBD. Then, if you see, this is a liver. Although it's a non-specific lesion, but liver is pale and there is a hemorrhagic patch on liver, if you see here. All right. It is not a very characteristic lesion of IBD, but yes, if you see, this liver is showing hemorrhages here. Then this is a comparison between the size of bursa with normal bursa. If you see, these are all normal bursae. Okay, and these are IBD affected bursae which have enlarged in size. Okay, they have taken out the bursa from the chicken's body. Can you see the enlargement? It is multiple times enlarged, days by days. These are the control birds, bursa, and these are the bursa of the IBD affected birds. You can see that there is multiple times enlargement. Then this is proventriculus, this is gizzard, and this is yellow color is coilin layer over the gizzard. And if you see at the junction of proventriculus and gizzard, there are hemorrhages here. The red color you can see here, hemorrhages. And this is an indicator that there is a necrotic or there is some pathological change which has resulted in the extravasation of blood. So one major reason is that this area is rich in lymphoid tissue, and because of the necrosis in the lymphoid tissue, we see such kind of hemorrhagic lesions. All right. Can you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
New picture. I'm going to enlarge it now. Okay. These are the lobulated kidneys. Okay, these are the kidneys. This whole part is actually the just a second, someone joined. This part is the abdominal part of the chicken. These are the kidneys. This is the blood vessel. Okay, and you see, this is the bursa that has been cut open. Bursa, hemorrhagic, enlarged and hemorrhagic bursa of IBD affected bird that has been cut open. You see here, this part is the cloacal part that has been cut. Intestines have been removed. This is the remnant of cloaca. Hmm? Here is the anal opening of the bird behind this, and this is the location of bursa. And you can see it is severely hemorrhagic, enlarged, and necrotic. Please try to observe that bursa is having folds. Okay, these folds are called as bursal plicae. Bursal plicae. Once again, another manifestation. Can you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
New picture? Yes, all right. So this is once again another bird has been cut open. And if you see here, this is the remnant of liver. This is the remnant of liver. This is the pectoral muscle. Kidneys. These striated structures are kidneys. And you can see kidneys are also hemorrhagic here. This bird was having so many pathological change. You can see kidneys also showing hemorrhagic changes here. These are the blood vessels supplying the kidney, the major blood vessels. This is the remnant of the cloaca. The intestine has been cut open and it is hanging here. And this is the bursa. This is the bursa. And you can see bursa is severely enlarged, and if you can see, it is hemorrhagic here. There are there is so prominent hemorrhages here. These are the manifestations of infectious bursal disease, IBD. All right, we go ahead. Now this is the gross manifestation of the or gross observations in the colibacillosis. Cholesepticemia E. coli. It should be visible, I guess. Let me see. Yes, it is visible. If you see here, now this is another bird. The pectoral muscle has been removed, and what we see here is the heart. What we see here is the heart, and this is the liver. You see here is the heart, and this is the liver. This is the liver of the bird, and this is these are the intestines. The covering has not been removed. Intestine, the covering, the peritoneal covering is not removed. It is only skin has been removed. Okay, so you see, it seems as if somebody has applied some butter over the surface of heart. Can you see this? It seems as if somebody has applied butter on the surface of heart. This is called as the fibrinous pericarditis, bread and butter appearance. Fibrinous pericarditis, bread and butter appearance. Okay, and if you observe here on the liver, you see they have removed and opened up the deposits over the liver. Liver is appearing dark color, tanned liver. We say tanning of liver, tanned liver, isn't it? And there is membrane. There is formation of pseudo membrane over the liver, tanned liver, and formation of pseudo membrane. That pseudo membrane they have cut open. That is showing. So this is case of colibacillosis, typically the cholesepticemia case, isn't it? Any doubt till now? Anything you want to ask?
Sir, what is the Dr. bread and butter appearance?
This one, it seems that somebody has applied butter over. You can see these whitish creamish deposits over that. Can you observe that? Isn't it? As if somebody has applied butter over the surface. Butter over the surface. Okay, but this is not butter. These are the fibrinous deposits over the surface of heart. All right, can you observe that or not? This part, this is heart actually. This is heart with fibrinous pericarditis. Going ahead. This is cholesepticemia in Turkey, and you can see this is heart, this is liver, which is dark colored, and this you can see spleen, which is intense congestion, is showing the intense congestion, isn't it? Now this is condition of egg peritonitis. All right, condition of egg peritonitis. This is abdomen that has been cut open. This is the heart, location of heart, and these are the intestines. And other misra. And here you see these are degenerating ova follicles, degenerating egg follicles. One of the follicle broke open. And you see these whitish deposits here. You can see, observe this. This is the intestine, and these are the whitish deposits. Okay, dirty whitish deposits. Even if you here also you see, you can find some dirty whitish deposits over the heart. Not very prominent like first picture, but yes, definitely they are present. And this is the indicator of the egg peritonitis. Egg peritonitis. All right. One of the ova broke, led to inflammation of the peritoneum, and resulted in this condition, egg peritonitis. All right. Then this is the egg bound condition. This is the egg bound condition. You see here, this is the liver, very dark color, tanned liver, tanning of liver, very dark color, congested liver. And these are the gizzard and intestines. Gizzard and intestines present here. This is small heart. You can see heart is also here. Heart, liver, the gizzard, and proventriculus must be hidden somewhere, and intestines are present. You see this enlarged structure. Enlarged structure. This is the part of oviduct. This is the part of oviduct where ova got stuck. Where ova got stuck, and over that layer after layer of exudate got deposited, and it grew in size, becoming a large area. Egg bound condition. Egg bound condition. And this will ultimately not allow the bird to live for long, because it will cause severe disturbances. Now, if I cut it open and see from inside, if I cut it open and see it from inside, it will appear like this. It will, if open it and cut, we will see this. Now, this was a fully formed egg. Fully formed egg. You can see the shell, eggshell is there, smooth eggshell is there. And around that also probably this was the first one which got stuck here. And around that you can see onion peel like structure, so many layers of exudate. And this is another ova, degenerated ova, which again got stuck. It has turned into a caseous mass, and over there you can see layer after layer of exudate has got deposited. This was fully formed egg that got stuck, and this is only the yolk part got stuck, and it turned into a onion peel like structure. You can see that. Any doubt till now? Anything you want me to explain again? Anybody? No. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Oh, wait a second. Now, this is another picture of the Jayer's disease. Jayer's disease. Polygranuloma. These are the intestines that have been removed out. These are the intestines. You can see the intestine here. You see the intestine. And these are the multiple granulomas forming over the intestine. Granulomatous growth, isn't it? You can see it is having numerous proliferating granuloma over that. This is Jayer's disease. You can see here also small ones are developing here. You can see extensive infection by Jayer's disease. Polygranuloma. This is yolk sac retention disease. Can you see this picture?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
This is the chick. Neck of the chick, wings of the chick, small chick. And this is the abdomen. Abdomen, you can see it is greenish, dirty, isn't it? And it is distended, fluid filled, distended. It is fluid filled and distended. You can see it here. Okay, and this is a case of the yolk sac omphalitis, yolk sac infection. And when we open this chick, when we open up this chick, dirty greenish, or I should say discolored foul smelling fluid will be coming out. This is a mushy chick, typically the mushy chick. That above one has been opened up. Okay. So here, if you see, the remnant of yolk sac is not visible. Remnant of yolk sac is not visible, but this book also shows one intact yolk sac. And normally yolk sac is a very small yellowish structure, But here it is although there is no scale here, but you can see it is enlarged. It is having blood vessel congestion, severe congestion of blood vessel. If you remember the cardinal signs of inflammation, one of them was rubor, redness, which is corresponding to the congestion. And if you see, these blood vessels are extensively congested. There is inflammation. This yolk sac is inflamed, and you can see this part is the stalk. Here the yolk sac attaches to the intestine. At this point, you can see this part is the part of intestine. All right. Now this is example of vegetative endocarditis. Although this is not included in your course, it is just mentioned here and there, but you can see the cauliflower-like growth or discolored growth here present on the valve. You can see here. Now we come to necrotic enteritis. Necrotic enteritis. The is the intestine that is cut open, and it is showing fluid content, and it is, if you see, it is literally transparent in most part. You can see through and through it. There is so much denudation of the mucosa. You can see it. It becomes translucent. The light is literally passing through it, isn't it? And there are numerous. These are large ones are feed particles. And small ones are the necrotic debris. Can you see this reflecting part? Necrotic debris. This is early part of necrotic enteritis, and these are the advanced lesions of the necrotic enteritis. This here in this part, this is the development of fibrinous pseudomembrane. Again, intestine is open. Can you see this yellowish part? This is the feed particle. And you can see this yellowish pseudomembranous deposit. Or Bruch's membrane deposit. And this is also called as Turkish towel-like appearance. Isn't it? Can you anybody any doubt till now? Anybody wants to ask anything?
Please repeat this part.
Yes, once again, loudly, please.
The Turkish towel appearance.
You can see this yellowish part. You can see this is the denuded mucosa. Nothing is there. It is very similar to the above one. Yes. Okay. And here, if you see, it is having the yellowish appearance. As if it is having small fibers. It's uneven. This is called as Turkish towel-like appearance. All right. This is the fibrinous necrotic deposit, Bruch's membrane. All right. Let us go ahead. Any doubt still?
No, sir.
Anyone else? Okay. Now this is tuberculosis. The visceral organs are showing the tubercle formation. These are the tubercles from liver. Nodules forming liver. The spleen, you can see, spleen has gone distorted. There are so many tubercles developing on the spleen. And this is a rare finding. There is a development of tubercle on the intestine also. Intestine mucosa also showing. Serosa also showing presence of tubercle. All right. Now this is the pale granulomatous. This area. This is the femur of the bird that has been cut open, and this is the bone marrow, and this is the granuloma developing in the bone marrow. Granuloma developing in the bone marrow, and it is an indicator. It is an indicator that the bone marrow is suffering from some kind of lesion, and when it was stained, large number of acid-fast bacilli you can see. Zeal sustaining acid-fast bacilli will be revealed. These are the remnants of cell, blue color, and these red pleomorphic acid-fast bacilli. So many, numerous are there. Okay. Now this is a typically space-occupying lesion in the bone marrow. This is a typical space-occupying lesion in the bone marrow, and as the description says that it becomes painful and causes lameness in the birds. It even causes lameness in the bird. This is the bone marrow, remnant of bone marrow, and this is the abscess. So it has actually replaced out the normal bone marrow, isn't it? Anybody any doubt? Yes. This picture came late actually. Cut section of cholegranuloma, that JS disease, cholegranuloma. You can see the caseous material present. It appears as if somebody has stuffed cheese inside it. Caseous material inside this. You come to fowl cholera, Pasteurella multocida. This is a cockerel, a rooster, and it is showing swelling of the wattle. This is comb, this is wattle. The wattle is swollen. Intense enlargement of wattle, and you can see it is also necrotic. Yeah. And when the wattle was cut open, it revealed presence of caseous cheesy mass inside. Caseous cheesy mass inside the wattle. You can see here. This is an indicator of the fowl cholera. What is this one? This is amyloid, deposits of amyloid, and under the polarized light will give apple green bifringence. The edges of the amyloid deposit gives this. You can see this apple green color. This is the bifringence. First place here.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
This is the salmonella affected liver. You can see this is heavily congested and hemorrhagic part. Heavily congested hemorrhagic part. This is one lobe of liver they have cut. This is pale necrotic area, and you can see it is spotted, mottled appearance. It is having spotted mottled appearance, mottling of liver. You can see it is mottled appearance, and these are the necrotic foci. Necrotic foci. The lesions vary from case to case, and this may be very large to very small spotted appearance. You can see the edge is showing congestion and hemorrhage. Whether it is only congestion or only hemorrhage will be confirmed only on histopathology, but apparently by experience I am telling both will be found in this kind of redness. And these are the necrotic foci. And these are the vermiform ceca. You can see ceca appears. Can you see this ceca or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. These are the cecum that has been taken out from the intestine, and you can see it is showing cross striations. as if like an earthworm, cross striations like earthworm. And you can see this serosal surface is hemorrhagic, necrotic area, hemorrhagic area, necrotic area, and something is present inside this ceca. They are not empty, something is present inside them. This is vermiform ceca. Typhlitis associated with salmonellosis. And when we open up the ceca, this caseous necrotic core are found. Caseous necrotic cores, caseous necrotic debris inside the ceca are seen. You can see here. You can see as if somebody stuffed cheese inside that. Okay. Any doubt till now? Okay. Now this is liver. Salmonella gallinarum. One of the very characteristic finding is bronzing of liver. Bronzing of liver. This is normal liver. This is bronzed liver, jaundiced liver. Bronzing of liver. This is very correct. When there is extensive retention of bile inside the liver appears like this. And this is a very characteristic finding of Salmonella gallinarum infection. Bronzing of liver. You can see it appears bronze colored. Bronze is a alloy. Okay. So you can see this is normal liver, bronze liver, normal spleen and congested spleen. Normal spleen and congested spleen. Literally very dark color it is appearing here. Okay. And in this Salmonella pullorum infection, we can see there is formation of numerous. This is the neck of the bird. This is the wing area, kidneys, the juvenile testis of the bird, the leg muscles. Okay, and this is the lungs part. This is, you can see trachea, small trachea also, autotrachea, and these are the lungs. And you see numerous necrotic, this yellowish necrotic foci over the lungs. Numerous necrotic foci over the lungs. And such lesions, they say, they are present also on the heart. And this is the synovitis of hock joint. You can see hock joint are swollen. This is the normal joint. This is the swollen joint. Hock joint is showing the swelling, arthritis, synovitis and arthritis. Okay. We come to the once again viral disease. Some pictures of bursa, the thoracic part, thoracic coelom, testis, the kidneys, and enlarged bursa and cut open cloaca. Enlarged bursa and cut open cloaca. Same way, the ribs, lungs have been removed, the kidneys, the cloaca, and this is the bursa, enlarged bursa. Enlarged bursa. And here in this case, very typical case, very typical case, the kidneys, you can see kidneys, the cloaca cut, and this is the bursa full of clots. Bursa full of clots. Bursa full of clots. And this is the kidney which is showing retention of urates, striations developed in the kidneys. This swollen bursa will not allow kidney to release out their content. So they get retention of content is there and nephritis develops. You can see the cross, the appearance like tiger skin. Okay, not cross striation, this striated kidney. Nephritis is there. You can see this lobe is swollen. Lobe is also swollen. The striated kidney, try to remember this point. Okay. Histological pictures are there. Once again, the paint brush hemorrhages on the pectoral muscles or breast muscle here. You can see paint flush hemorrhages on the IBD affected birds. Inclusion body hepatitis. Inclusion body hepatitis. Can you see this liver? Somebody
Yes,
please
sir.
respond. Yes.
Yes,
है ना?
sir.
This is the cut off lobe, cut off one lobe of liver. And you can see these are the petechial hemorrhages over them. Petechial hemorrhages, pinpoint hemorrhages over the liver surface. This part is congested and hemorrhagic, and this part is pale necrotic with presence of petechial hemorrhages. Okay, this is a very characteristic finding we get in inclusion body hepatitis, but confirmation is on the molecular test or on the histopathology. This is H&D stained section of the dead bird's liver, and you can see this is a hepatocyte. This is a hepatocyte. This is its nucleus, and inside here it is the inclusion body. Another hepatocyte, nucleus, and this is the inclusion body present inside. Same case here. Same case here. This is RBC. RBC where this is the nucleus of RBC. This is the cell membrane, and this empty part where the hemoglobin has escaped out from the RBC. This is a hepatocyte. This is a nucleus, and these are the nucleolus. So the nucleoli inside them. There is no inclusion body in this nucleus. There is no inclusion body in this nucleus. This is a karyolytic nucleus. Karyolysis is there. The nucleus is becoming faint. Nothing is visible here. All right. You can see this is another nucleus, very prominent nucleolus. Very prominent nucleolus. This is the margination of chromatin, prominent nucleolus. Chromatin is on the periphery. Here you can see even nucleolus is on the periphery. Nucleus appears vesicular. Nucleus appears vesicular, empty. All right. So first characteristic, this you have to observe the inclusion body here. The surrounding is empty halo is around the inclusion body. Any doubt, anybody? Okay. This is the inclusion bodies described by special acrylic resin stain. Okay, the empty area. It is a matter of postgraduate study. Okay, this is fowl pox. Can you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is example of wet pox. Wet pox. You can see this is the chicken. The oral cavity has been cut open up to the esophagus. Oral cavity has been cut open up to the esophagus, and you can see nodular growth here. Nodular growth. Is it visible? Nodular growth are visible? Yes.
Yes, sir.
These are the nodular growth. Okay, and these are the pox lesions, very typical pox lesions. And if we go for histopathology, we will find in the lesion enlarged intracytoplasmic, the eosinophilic inclusion bodies, also called as Bollinger bodies or sometimes Borel bodies. This is a more typical case where some small amount of bluish staining nucleus is remaining, and this is the inclusion body developing. This is the fully formed inclusion body which has completely removed everything else from this cell. Only inclusion body remains. You can see this is a cell, this is a cell, this is a remnant of nucleus, and these are the inclusion bodies. You can see once again here, this is a cell, the nucleus, and this eosinophilic inclusion body developing here. Here our inclusion body. All right. Anybody, any doubt, any confusion? Yes. All right. ILT. Infectious laryngotracheitis. You can see the cut part of trachea. This is the bifurcation into the bronchi, trachea. You can see the trachea. You can see dark area here, dark area. From outside, it is showing presence of hemorrhages inside. Outside, the hemorrhages are present, and when we cut open, we will see the presence of blood clots inside the trachea. You can see upper part, the syrinx area. Here also dark colored blood clots are present. In the chronic form of ILT, this is diphtheritic lesions will develop. This is the beak. This is the beak. This is the tongue. Beak and tongue. And this is this dotted part is the esophageal part. Dotted part is esophageal part. And here we have the trachea. You can see, observe the trachea here. You can have observe the trachea, and it is blocked by caseous exudate. Presence of caseous exudate. Same way, beak, tongue, this dotted part is esophagus that is cut open, and this is the trachea that is cut open. And we can see presence of caseous exudate and small amount of hemorrhages here. Small amount of hemorrhages here. Is it clear? Anybody, any doubt? Okay. This is the cross section of trachea. Cross section of two trachea. One is the trachea has been cut cross. Okay, cross section. So we see it round. This trachea is blocked by the hemorrhagic exudate or hemorrhages, simply clots, and this trachea is blocked by caseous exudate. You can see complete blockage of trachea. This leads to asphyxiation and death of the bird. Asphyxiation and death of the bird because of infectious laryngotracheitis. Then we come to infectious bronchitis. Infectious bronchitis. This is once again trachea that has been cut open, and to let it remain cut, they have applied some pins here. This blue color is nothing but pin. They have the head of the pin that has been applied to keep the trachea cut open. And you can see there is formation of extensive exudate, inflammatory exudate, and this trachea is hemorrhagic. Trachea is hemorrhagic, red hemorrhagic, isn't it? Any doubt, anybody till now? Okay. This is the acute nephritis, or nephritis in the infectious bronchitis affected chicken. You can see this is the abdominal part. These are the testes. This is the part where the head will be there. This is the part where cloaca. You can see small bursa is here also here. Small bursa. Normal small bursa is there. Regressed bursa, in fact, isn't it? And you see kidneys are appearing striated. The retained urates and the necrosis has given this striated appearance to this kidney. And these lobes are extensively swollen and prominent. The kidney lobes are extensively swollen and prominent in this case. The nephritis, this is very clear-cut nephritis what we have in this case.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt, anybody till now? No. Good. This is a misshapen egg with rough shell. Misshapen egg with rough shell, rough surface. You can see it is not symmetrical. It is having some depression here, and the surface is also ridged, corrugated kind of surface, misshapen egg. And if we break the egg, we will find that this is the yolk, and there is no clear-cut differentiation between the thick and thin albumin. And chalaza is also broken. And literally it flows away like water. If we cut it open, it will flow away like water. Okay, infectious bronchitis affected egg. Now, egg drop syndrome. Similarly, in egg drop syndrome, the major finding are the eggs. You can see thin-shelled egg, very thin-shelled egg. Literally, minimum deposition is there. And you can see abnormally shaped eggs here. All right. These are the important findings in the EDS. Now this is Marek's disease. In Marek's disease, they have cut open the brachial plexus. Now see, these are the ribs. This is the part of backbone. These are the ribs. So, just below the wings, if we open very carefully, we will find nerve plexus, the origination of nerves, brachial nerve, brachial plexus, etc. And similarly, around the abdomen, we will find the sciatic plexus, sciatic nerves. They appear very similar. They are very these nerve plexus are very symmetrical. From both sides, they appear very similar. But here, if you see, this side is small and this side is thickened. This side is small, this side is thickened. Now this is very characteristic finding. This is almost confirmatory of occurrence of Marek's disease in the affected flock. Okay, these are, once again I'll explain, these are the ribs. This is the neck backbone part, and just below the origin of, just behind the origin of wings, if we open it carefully, we will find the origin of nerves from the backbone, from the vertebrae, vertebral column. And you can see there is asymmetric development. The development of asymmetry here. This side is smaller, normal. This side is enlarged, thickened. This is because of the infiltration of nerve by the lymphocyte. You can see lymphocytic aggregates. Lymphocytic aggregates here. Then we go ahead. Can you see this picture? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is tumorous spleen. This is liver, part of liver, heart. But spleen should be around this much size. But you can see spleen has enlarged to so big spleen. This spleen has turned tumorous and it has ruptured. This spleen ruptured. You can see this black colored clots. This black color is clot. This is a fatal hemorrhage. This is a fatal hemorrhage because of the rupture of spleen, and the bird died. And you can see the musculature is pale. Musculature is pale. Pale means as if the bird has been slaughtered. It has been slaughtered and bled out. But you can see here the spleen is there, which is enlarged, tumorous, and it has ruptured, giving out the severe hemorrhages. This is a tumor in the wing muscle. The tumors can form anywhere in Marek's and ALC, and this is the tumor formed in the wing muscle. Now, this is a very important finding. This is a very important finding. Can you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
This is very characteristic picture. This is a normal sized liver. Liver size is normal. And this is a big liver, tumorous liver. You can see it has increased in size multiple times. Multiple times. You can see the enlargement of the liver lobes, and also the surface of liver is which is appearing uneven surface of liver. You can see here, isn't it? Large tumorous liver, uneven, and I should say it is having uh, uh, asymmetrical development of lobes. This is a very typical finding in the Marek's disease and all lymphomas. There is uniform gross enlargement of the organ, uniform gross enlargement of the organ, and it will cover up the whole intestine. It will not allow the bird to proliferate, other organs to proliferate or function in the bird. This is the bird showing paralysis. Paralyzed bird, the neck is hanging. Neck is hanging, tail is also paralyzed. Paralysis of the bird. The transient paralysis, this is the blood vessel, you see, and around that blood vessels, numerous lymphomas have infiltrated. Perivascular cuffing. This is the blood vessel. This is the blood vessel. You can see a red area, RBCs, and these are numerous cells that have infiltrated. The transient paralysis syndrome is having this characteristic appearance. Now this is the same big liver. You can see very highly enlarged liver, heart, the full thoracic, abdominal, serum, everything totally covered by the liver, totally covered by the tumorous liver. This is heart, and this is totally covered by again same thing as we have seen in the Marek's. Very similar here, big liver disease, and you can also see in the parenchyma development of individual lymphomas. You can see individual lymphomas are also developing here. Not only the gross enlargement of the organ, but also development of individual lymphomas in the organ. All right. And same way, this is the lymphoma. These are lymphoma in the kidneys. If you see, these are the kidneys, kidney lobes. We have seen the nephritis kidney, normal kidney, but you see tumorous kidneys here. The lobes have enlarged tumorous. You can see development of lymphomas also in the tumors, in the tumorous kidneys. And you can see this is the bursa of Fabricius. The bursa is almost invariably found retained bursa. And here we see the individual lymphomas on the liver. Individual lymphomas on the liver. You can see individual lymphoma, presence of lymphoma. When we cut through them, they are fleshy. They are fleshy. They do not contain caseous exudate. They are fleshy. They are tumors. And this is enlarged bursa. Enlarged tumorous bursa of avian leukosis complex affected birds. Okay. I conclude this class today here itself. Any doubt, anything you want to ask? The tissue parenchyma. It will in fact form the independent lymphomas. You can see here, this is a lymphoma. This is a lymphoma. Okay, this is a lymphoma, and these are the remnants of hepatocytes, hepatic parenchyma. These cords are there. You can see this lymphoma is acting as a space occupying lesion. Space occupying lesion. It is replacing out the normal parenchyma. You can see in liver only little bit of liver is left. All has been removed by the lymphoma. All right. So we go ahead in some other manifestations. What we see here. This is once again candidiosis, and once again the Turkish towel-like appearance, deposits of the fibrinous material. This is the crop of the bird, and you get that these deposits have formed. I should not say this deposit, these deposits of fibrino-necrotic material has formed on the crop. Now this gives the typical Turkish towel-like appearance to the crop. And now this can be found down up to in the esophagus also, in up to the proventriculus also. Candidiosis, Candida albicans. And here we see the fungal hyphae are demonstrated in the periodic acid sheath. You can see this purple pink color, the structures. This is the superficial epithelium. This is superficial epithelium, and these are the fungi growing on the epithelium, which are demonstrated pink color by the use of periodic acid sheath reaction. Now these are the pseudohyphae in higher power. High power pseudohyphae means the hypha is there, but the partition is not present, and some of the yeast cells are also observed here. Some yeast cells are also observed. Okay, so in the crop epithelium we find the pseudohyphae of the Candida here, and some independent yeast cells also. All right, these are budding pseudohyphae. All right, any doubt anybody till now? Anything you want to ask? Okay, wait. Is it better now? Okay. Once again, I'll show this. These are the Turkish towel-like appearance on the crop mucosa. You can see this whitish Turkish towel. You can compare this with the deposits with the lesions formed on the intestinal mucosa. What we have seen in the necrotic enteritis. However, because of presence of bile and other pigments, it appeared yellowish. Here, it is appearing whitish. You can see this Turkish towel-like appearance of the mucosa because of development of fibrino-necrotic lesions. And this is demonstration of hyphae in the epithelium of crop with help of PAS. You can see the purple pink hyphae. And this you can see here the layers, epithelial layer. You can see here. Epithelial layer is there. The muscular serosal layer, muscularis, and later on the serosal layer will be coming. Now in high power you can see this pseudohyphae. The pseudohyphae, they do not have septa, they are budding, and there are some independent yeast cells also present there. You can see epithelial cell with only nucleus remaining. All cytoplasmic structures are gone. This is the nucleus. You can see nucleolus is also prominent here. All right. Just a second for sake of okay, later on we will see. Just sake of understanding, I would like to show that necrotic enteritis once again. Now, if you see this Turkish towel appearance here, and compare it with what you have just now seen, can you understand this? The rough, the fibrous surface of the fibrinous deposits. Is it all right? You can see here. So we once again come back to what we were going ahead with. Now parasitic diseases. You can see the one of the this part remains actually in the theory to be covered, but this is here you can note down that the largest and most pathogenic roundworm of poultry is Escherichia galli. You can see the name also here, Escherichia galli, isn't it? And if you open up the intestines, you will find that there are numerous of these parasites present in the intestine, and they literally block the intestinal lumen. They compete for the nutrients. They replace out the normal epithelium because of their presence. The normal epithelium cannot grow, and they also block the intestine for the passage of ingesta, and eventually the bird becomes weak and dies. Escherichia galli. In our lab also there is very good specimen of this. Then this is Eimeria tenella, coccidia. Coccidia I have discussed already. This is the ileocecal colic junction. This is the junction part, colonic part. This is the cloaca, and these are the paired ceca. The cecum in chicken are blind sac, and you can see they are distended with reddish black content, which is blood. They are distended with presence of reddish black content, and this is very typical picture. Very frequently we can find this in field, with varying manifestation, a little bit weaker lesions than this, or even more severe than this. Okay, this is the hemorrhagic typhlitis caused by the Eimeria tenella. You can see Eimeria tenella in the microscope if you can process it. Then Histomonas meleagritis, Histomoniasis. You can see here the liver of the turkey is showing typical ulcerative developments or typical necrotic lesions with periphery pale and central core area as the depressed necrotic part. On this periphery we will find the presence of histomonads, and if you see the ceca here and you cut open the ceca, you will find that necrotic debris is present inside the ceca. There is no feces, but necrotic debris is present inside the ceca, as we have seen very similar picture in salmonellosis, isn't it? Histomonas meleagritis, and these are the histomonads present inside the wall of the ceca. These red color structures are histomonads present inside the wall of the ceca. Now these are the capillary thrombus inside, like in case of the for example the salmonellosis, the E. coli. In those diseases where the disseminated intravascular coagulopathy takes place, the thrombosis occurs in the microscopic capillaries. So these are the capillaries, and this red structure, if you see inside, they are the fibrinous or the platelet derived thrombus here. Okay, so there is special staining, Marcia scarlet blue, and if you see, this capillary is totally blocked and occluded. The surrounding area got necrotic. You cannot see any cellular structure around it. No cellular structure around it. Everything has been destroyed out because of this presence of this thrombus. Then we come to some metabolic diseases what we see here, and one of the typical one is rickets. If you see, these are the legs, this is the pectoral muscle, and from this side the wing has been removed, and the the ribs are visible, and you can see there is thickening in the ribs here, thickening and distortion in the ribs, called as rachitic rosary, and if you open up the bird and see it inside, you will see that there is enlargement of the joints. The rib heads are enlarged, thickened, because it never got calcified. It remained as a cartilage, and to maintain the strength, it kept on growing. So this is a typical rachitic rosary. Typical rachitic rosary. Okay. So we finished the pictures what we have seen, and now we will again revise some of the specimen what we have in our lab. Just a second. Our museum specimen, we will try to discuss them. Okay, this is our museum specimen. This is a chicken, and can you see the liver? Enlarged liver with large lymphomas. Enlarged liver with large lymphomas. This is specimen of lymphoid leukosis. Specimen of lymphoid leukosis. This is from our lab. Then this is escherichiosis. You can see the legs, you can see the gizzard, another leg, and you see some intestines here, and one of the intestine is cut open, and you can see presence of numerous Escherichia galli inside this. They have blocked the lumen of the intestine. Now this is again chicken. You can see the leg, feather, and you can see these are the paired ceca. We have collected some paired ceca. This is another ceca from different birds. Another ceca, and these are all hemorrhagic typhlitis. What we have here. Can you see this? Observe this. Enlarged distended ceca with presence of hemorrhagic exudate. This is once again a specimen of enlarged liver with Marek's disease of chicken. You can see separate lymphomas are not observed. In some cases, separate lymphomas are seen. In some cases, diffuse enlargement of liver is seen. When there is diffuse enlargement of liver, we have to suspect Marek's disease. You can see this is the neck. Other body parts have been removed. Only liver remains. Okay. This is the case of ascites. This is the neck of the bird, pectoral muscle, neck, pectoral muscle, and abdomen. You see the abdomen is distended. And it is round, pot-bellied condition. And this is the case of ascites, pot-bellied condition in ascites. Anybody doubt till now anything? Anything you want to ask? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sir.
sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you please repeat the Imeria one?
You see here the ceca. This is ceca of another bird, not the same bird. Another ceca. Okay. You can see the ceca is distended. Presence of hemorrhagic exudate. It will be better to cut open it and see it. Okay, but this is a preserved specimen. That one atlas I have shared in the group. That will have some very good pictures of this. Once again, the same case of ascites. The same case of ascites. This one. pot-bellied condition. Oophorytis. Although it is written Marek's disease, don't confuse with it. It is misspelled here. All right. These are the ova, misshapen. You can see a pedunculated ova here. You can see the ova, and this is a misshapen pedunculated ova. Misshapen pedunculated ova, and this one, these are misshapen ova, misshapen pedunculated ova, and misshapen ovas. Okay. This is a better specimen of Oophorytis. You can see congested blood vessel over the ova. Congested blood vessel over the ova, and in reality, when the specimen is fresh, this black color will appear as red color, bright red color, and this ova will have hemorrhagic patches on their surface. This ova will have hemorrhagic patches over their surface. Now, colibacillosis specimen, as picture we have shown earlier from the book, this is also having fibrinous deposits. This is liver, and here heart. It is not very much clear here in this picture, but this liver and heart, they had, you can see the surface is rough. Surface is not smooth. You can see surface is not smooth, and there are deposits of fibrin over the liver. Now this is an example of acute Marek's disease or classical Marek's disease, and in this case we see that liver is enlarged as well as few lymphomas. Liver is diffusely enlarged, and few lymphomas are developing on the liver surface. Few lymphomas are also developing on the liver surface. Acute Marek's disease. This is heart, and one part of the heart has been cut for the histopathological analysis. And in this heart, one part where the part has been cut, you can see this part seems extensively enlarged. Extensive enlargement of this. This is actually the right side dilatation of right side of heart. This is example of mesothelioma in chicken. The wall of the peritoneum has turned tumorous. You can see cauliflower-like growth, mesothelioma in chicken. Cauliflower-like growth in the wall. And it is all associated with ovary. You can see some ova also associated with them. It is associated with ovary. Then another example of acute Marek's disease. In this case, the liver is not showing enlargement. Liver is smooth, but only one single lymphoma on each lobe has developed. You can see only one single lymphoma on each lobe has developed. Liver is not showing enlargement. Diffuse enlargement is not there. Okay. The specimen is not clear very much, but if you observe, photograph has not come very nice. But if you observe, only this side we have kidney, this side kidney is missing. This side we have enlarged kidney, this side kidney is missing. The kidney got lost because of urolithiasis. Because of presence of urolith, kidney got lost. The other side of kidney became hypertrophied. Unilateral hypertrophy of kidney, one side is lost. These are the eggs, misshapen thin-shelled eggs. Small egg, misshapen small egg, misshapen thin-shelled egg. You can see depressed misshapen thin-shelled eggs. These are associated with the adenovirus infection, and of course also the this infectious bronchitis infection. Let me see. this is once again the necrotic foci on the liver. Necrotic foci on the liver. You can see here some part has been cut for the diagnosis of it. And you can see there is also mild pericarditis, the cloudy pericardium of the heart. Now this is specimen of Brooder's pneumonia, and you see the lungs here, lungs. This is the part of kidney, and you see on the lungs there are development of numerous nodules. This is the specimen of Brooder pneumonia. These are fungal nodules developing on the lungs of the bird. Some nodules have also developed on the kidney, around the kidney, the air sac around the kidney. Once again, the lymphoproliferative disease, actually it is lymphoid leukosis case. You can see formation of lymphoma and enlarged liver. This is very typical specimen of hydropericardium. Lychee heart disease. You can see the heart appears like lychee fruit, the seed of fruit, and the surrounding pericardium is containing water, which gives it the appearance of lychee fruit. This is the pulp of lychee fruit. This is the seed of lychee fruit. Lychee heart disease, isn't it? Hydropericardium in this bird. Pyometra, enlarged uterus. Uterus is enlarged and it contains lot of pus inside that. This is from a dog. Hemoncosis on the abomasum. You can see numerous hemoncos sticking to the abomasum. Roundworms. Abomasum of cattle. Ascaris sum. Numerous large parasite inside the intestine of pig will be found. Ascaris sum, large parasite, Ascaris sum. This is the liver of fasciola affected cattle. Liver of fasciola affected cattle. Picture is not very good, but you can see the bile duct have enlarged. The biliary system shows very wide lumen, and inside them there is presence of fasciola. Inside them there is presence of fasciola. This specimen is better. You can see thickened enlarged bile duct on the cut surface of liver. You can see thickened enlarged bile duct. Stillbirth. The stillbirth indicates that the fetus grew to its full term. It grew to its full term but was not born alive. Stillbirth in swine. So you can see the fetus is almost fully formed fetus, but was born dead. So we have the fully formed dead born fetus, stillbirth. One more stillbirth case. This is a parasitic disease, hydatid cyst in the spleen. You can see the spleen. And this is the hydatid cyst. It is a fluid-filled cavity. On microscopic examination, numerous parasitic head called as scolysis or singular scolex will be seen in this. Hydatid cyst in the spleen. This is another example of hydatidosis. You can see the spleen here. Another side, enlarged cyst, parasitic cyst. This is heartworm, Dirophilaria immitis. Inside the heart, this worm is present. It is not clear here, but inside the heart lumen, also this worm resides. Okay, Dirophilariosis, heartworm. You can see membranous cystic structure inside this bottle. Membranous cystic structure inside this bottle. These are the cinereus cerebralis. Cinereus cerebralis. Cinereosis, this happens inside the brain actually. This cyst is for parasitic cyst of cinereus actually forms inside the brain. Okay. This is a membranous cyst found in the brain of sheep and goats, typically sheep and goat. Specimen of endocarditis. You can see the endocardium is cattle heart. Endocardium is typically red. Blood patches are present inside the endocardium. Blood patches are present inside the endocardium, indicating presence of hemorrhagic endocarditis, very typically found in pasteurellosis. Okay. Any doubt? Anything till now? Any doubt till now? Only outline. Necrotic tubules. Tubules showing coagulative necrosis. Okay. This is not normal glomerulus. Actually, glomerulus is also showing vacuolation and degeneration. However, this is not for the discussing the glomerular pathology. It is, you can see here, there is normal tubule with nuclei. You can see nucleus, although lumen is a little bit dilated, but this is a necrotic tubule. Only outline remains. No cellular structure is seen. No cellular structure is seen. Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir.
Another slide. Next slide you can see. Yes?
No, sir.
Now can you see it?
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
This is again coagulative necrosis in the kidney. You can see this is a tubule. Only outline of tubule remains. There is no cellular detail. All right? Coagulative necrosis in kidney. Coagulative necrosis in kidney. Its coagulative necrosis can lead to fibrosis also. Fibrosis. So this is once again kidney. But you don't find any tubules here. You can see these fibrous structures here. Fibrous structures. Even around glomerulus also these fibrous structures are forming. This is fibrosis. Tubules are replaced by the fibrosis. Then calcification. The necrotic part may get calcified. This is cattle kidney. I will discuss it separately. And this whitish part is the calcified part. Calcification in the kidney. This is the gangrene. This is gangrene. You can see grayish, dirty grayish, partially liquefied mass. The moist gangrene of spleen. The spleen gets twisted and necrotic, and on that the bacteria will invade and lead to gangrenous formation. You can see this. This is the inflamed part of spleen, and this is the gangrenous part of spleen. grayish, dirty grayish part. Gross appearance of coagulative necrosis. This is the cross section of the spleen. You can see the normal inflamed part, and this is the pale circumscribed necrotic parts of the spleen. Coagulative necrosis can appear pale or hemorrhagic according to condition or location of the organ. This is the necrosis with presence of hemorrhage. These are, instead of appearing pale, the necrotic patches appear reddish. Necrotic patches appear reddish in this case. You can see here, dark patches.
Sir, slides are not changing.
Okay, okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you repeat the previous parts? After 12th slide, we cannot see anything.
Okay. This slide you have seen?
No, sir.
Just wait. This you have seen?
No, sir.
No.
No,
12th
it's
slide.
up to 12th.
Up to 12th. 12th क्या था? Up to here only you have seen. Okay, all right. So this is, there are different sequelae of necrosis. One of them is fibrosis of the tissue. Fibrosis of the tissue, you can see that the kidney tubules all are missing. This is visible or not?
Yes, sir.
You can see the fibrous connective tissue is proliferating, and here also you can see the fibrous connective tissue is becoming very thick inside, even inside the glomerulus or in the Bowman's capsule, and only very few tubules are remaining. Very few tubules are remaining. All FCT has replaced out. Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is kidney showing calcification. The necrosis can also get calcified. This whitish part is the calcified part of the kidney. Calcified part of the kidney. Can you see this gangrene?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is spleen, and it has undergone moist gangrene. Moist gangrene. Spleen in those species where it is elongated has got tendency of twisting on itself, or when it is very much enlarged in some diseases, it may develop folds and twist, and consequently there is extensive ischemic necrosis, and you see that this is inflamed part of the spleen, and this is the gangrenous part. This is the gangrenous part, dirty grayish color. All right. Now this is appearance of the necrosis. This is the cross section of spleen. You can see this is the parenchyma, inflamed parenchyma of spleen, and this is the necrotic part. This pale structure is the necrotic part. So in this case, necrosis appears pale in color. It is appearing a little bit less in color than the surrounding parenchyma. But sometimes necrosis can be hemorrhagic also. The necrotic area can develop hemorrhages, as in this case. Can you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
This is the surface, cortical surface of the kidney, and you see these red patches. Red patches, these are necrotic patches. You can see here. Necrotic patches. Here also, in the cortex also, you can see numerous necrotic hemorrhagic areas. Now this is example of cortex is almost normal